Again, everybody, welcome along to the May meeting, ordinary meeting of Narromine Shire Council.
I'm so busy.
So we're going to quite ask you to turn your phones off or onto silent. This meeting is being live streamed via Council's website, and a person's image and or voice may be broadcast. Attendance at this meeting is taken as consent by a person to their image and or voice being live streamed. If any person attending the meeting does not agree to being live streamed, they can choose to leave the meeting. All speakers should refrain from making defamatory comments or releasing any personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for the damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending meetings. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The recording must be published on Council's website for the balance of the Council's term or 12 months, whichever is the longer period, and retained as a Council record. Individuals acting in a disorderly manner can be asked by the chairperson to leave the meeting under Council's Code of Meeting Practice. This meeting must not be recorded by others without the prior written consent of Council in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Members of the public attending the meeting must remain silent during the meeting and not disrupt the meeting. So just on that, we've had a few people like to have a bit of a talk in the gallery, which is very annoying. If you need to speak, go outside and have a yarn, please. I will name and shame you. Just let's all show respect for each other. That's the bottom line. Thank you. So I would now like to call Jeff Anderson, who's representing the Uniting Church, to do our prayer. If anybody could stand up, please. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us pray. Almighty God, we gather today in service to the people of Narromine Shire. Grant us wisdom to make decisions that uphold justice, fairness and common good. May we be guided by integrity, compassion and respect for all voices of our community. Lord God, help all here today to approach this meeting with humble heart, open to the hearing and learning from one another. May your Spirit guide those making the decisions that help all work together for unity, with open hearts and clear minds, so that our efforts may bring lasting benefit to the people we serve. O God, we humbly ask your blessing upon this council. We pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Welcome to stay or whatever you wish to do. Thank you.
Yes.
While we're standing, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay respect to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, traditions and culture of the land where we meet today, and extend that respect to the Aboriginal community and all Aboriginal people present. Thank you. Have a seat. Just again, welcome fellow councillors, staff, gallery and of course our people online. Welcome to this meeting. I'm just going to read out the statement of ethical obligations. The Mayor and councillors are reminded that they remain bound by the oath or affirmation of office made at the beginning of the council term to undertake their civic duties in the best interest of the people of the Narromine Shire community and to faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. Council officials are also reminded of the requirement to declare and appropriately manage any conflicts of interest that they may have in relation to matters considered at this meeting in accordance with the Code of Conduct and the Code of Meeting Practice. Thank you. Item 5 is apologies or applications for leave or joined by audio visual link, all councillors are here tonight. Item 6, confirmation of the minutes from the ordinary council meeting of the 15th of April 2026.
So moved, Mr Mayor.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, disclosures of interest. I have one here from Jane Redden, our General Manager. Item number 3, Community and Economic Development, draft section 7.11 contributions plan. Second declaration is on item 4, notices of motion about Wallaby Creek Wind Farm. And the third one is item 3 and item 4, questions with notice on Wallaby Creek Wind Farm. GM Jane has already previously declared these pecuniary interests and declarations. The General Manager will leave the room for, she's already left, for the public forum and the council meeting for these items. Okay, we'll get into the other business. First being number 1, the Merrill Minute.
I'll move the recommendation that the information be noted, Mr Mayor.
You got a second for that? Councillor Roberts. Any questions on the Merrill Minute?
Just a question, Mr Mayor. I'd imagine that was a fairly emotional farewell celebration for Jock Webb.
It was indeed, yeah, 35 years. He taught at the primary school. He taught 3 out of my 4 children. And they did, before we got there, they did a nice little parade thing where all the kids clapped and touched, shook hands with him. So by the time the function I attended, that was all done. But a lot of old school teachers are there, a lot of the old admin staff, would come back for it. It was very nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, you attended the Community Drought Forum. What was your opinion on the outcomes?
So this is the one down at Salford?
Yes.
Yes. It was, it was a positive night. I'm not good at some of those questions. How can I put it? The activities that were undertaken that night. Councillor Bowman was there as well. I think it put a lot of heads together to get on the same page to move forward with hopefully what the state and federal government will do to improve some infrastructure to make us more drought resilient. A lot of talk fest about that kind of thing going on at lots of different forums and meetings. I just hope and pray that that the state and federal government give us some money to put that infrastructure in place, as in raising the weirs and making more dams to hold back water instead of it all sailing past Narromine when we get good rain and ending up in the marshes. We need to hold that back for drought time.
Thanks, John.
I'll just extend on that. So it wasn't so much what the state and federal government could do. It was, as a community, what's the triggers that get initiated for when we start to become part of a drought? So is it a dry spell? Is it a drought? What triggers? What does the community go without that council could potentially help with to alleviate that drought pressure? Like, we can't make it rain, we can't make you have extra thing, but they're talking about, for instance, the first thing that goes is sporting and community events, which then affects mental health, which then affects the family at home. So what as a community can we do to try and stop that decrease in activity within our community to help those people that are struggling from drought? So it was more about tangible actions that we could do within the community to help those people suffering from drought, instead of just petitioning saying, hey, we need more dams, etc. It was more like actual actions, and there was 3 really specific actions that come out that were going to happen immediately, that are already in place and working, and then there was higher strategies of what's the trigger point for the community to understand when we're in a drought and how does that affect the community as a whole.
Mr Mayor, will there be an official report from that and go to the community for?
Sorry?
Will there be actually an official report from that to the community?
Yes, so through Mayor, they'll actually there'll be an action plan that will come out of that.
Actually come
forum.
out today.
Yes, that's right. It was on my email. I haven't had time to
Okay,
read it, but yes, it's come out today. So absolutely, that's
well,
available to everybody.
Yeah, what Councillor Baines said is correct, of course. The preparation, the support of affected community members, it's all very relevant. Mental health's a big issue with disasters of any type, of course. Do you want anything to add anything, Councillor Smith? You were there as well.
I think Councillor Bone summed it up very nicely. But it was lovely to see the 35 odd people that were there, all very enthusiastic and engaged in trying to do what they can for the benefit of the community.
And
Sure.
thank you to the staff that attended as well.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right. Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to the GM, are we going to get that onto us, come to us as well?
Yes, so through you, Mayor, absolutely. There's a whole drought plan that's been developed as part of this process, but more than happy to share the action plan
Please
that
do.
came through, yeah.
Please do.
It will be part of the documents as well, but
It would be so the way they structured it was that they had interviews with people all around the community. I know, Craig, you had an interview with them about, I did
as well, yeah.
about how it affects the community and things like that. And the deficits that were identified were then used and workshopped on each table. So if we, for instance, we had that there's no trigger in place to actually know when you're in a drought or not a drought. It's just when the media say, oh, we're in a drought, and then everybody worries, but where are you in a drought, when, how, etc. So we workshopped that. Jane, you workshopped?
There were 6 themes from memory, and I think a lot of them were around picking, I suppose, who's going to be the facilitator in that situation, who's going to take the lead in the community in making sure that those things happen. That there was quite a bit of discussion around that.
Was the other night too.
And then it led into what those actions come from, those 6 trigger points, and then that's the immediate quick that we could actually do really quickly and initiate now, and then bigger, obviously more in-depth options down the bottom.
And some of that was about social activities and the role that council can play in community, bringing the community together. Keeping our shires green during drought, because obviously when it's really dry at home, you've got no water. It's nice to come into town and, if things are still looking quite good in the towns, it's a good place to go, I suppose, and lift people's spirits. So that was a lot of.
Thank you.
Just on what we're talking about drought at the country mayor's meeting last Friday, there was discussion about, you got your flood and fire, natural disasters. There was a push to declare droughts a natural disaster. So that's a good idea too, I think. Any other questions?
No, thanks. Stacey, everyone else.
Sorry.
Thanks for everyone who attended, because I could make it through drought conditions. So, yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you. Okay, we'll put that as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. We'll move on to the Deputy General.
I'll move the recommendation that the information be noted.
Second for that?
Yep.
Councillor Howie. Any questions to Councillor Bowen?
Yes, to Stacey. What's the aerobic championships? What did that entail?
Aerobic.
The aerobatics.
Oh, aerobatics.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do aerobics, obviously. Not my thing.
Those
Aerobatics aren't my thing either, but was happy to go out and support and do that.
Sorry.
I'm not into aerobics, Councillor Howie.
Competition.
Yeah, so they had their state competition. So went out there. I've been out and doing a lot with them every time they come. I couldn't make the original dinner, but we had the cinnamon squirrels and did a few bits out there, which was really nice. And stayed for their dinner.
Thank you.
And they're coming back in October, I believe.
Yes.
They're hoping to come back in June for a training.
Trainings.
Yeah, more the better. All right, any other questions of Councillor Bowen? The recommendation of the motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, reports to council. First one being from the General Manager. Item 1, draft revised integrated planning and reporting documents.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr Mayor, that the draft integrated planning and reporting documents as presented to the meeting be endorsed and placed on public exhibition for 28 days prior to the final adoption at the ordinary council meeting to be held on the 24th of June 2026.
If you have a seconder for that. Councillor Roberts. Any discussion on this one?
Again, just a comment, Mr Mayor, it's great to see how well our staff have put things together, and they are written in good English or plain English that we and the community can understand. And it'll be interesting to see if there are any submissions on the directions that we're taking.
Thank you, councillor Lambert. Councillor.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Jane, on page 2, you have employee costs have increased by 4% annually. I presume that's to do with wages and other costs. Does the council keep track of year-on-year increases in staff, inside and outside staff? Because there's several reports about the Australian population, I think there's 17% employment through government. If that's one of our biggest costs with redundancy, that is tracked?
So through me, absolutely. And we have our workforce management plan as well, which talks about the number of staff. That's the detailed one. That's not, that doesn't need to go to public exhibition, but we update that. And Barry will be able to tell you the breakdown in terms of cost, but the 4% obviously relates principally to award-based increases. Plus there are other elements, like there are some skill step increases, etc., that come into that. But yeah, absolutely, we track very closely our indoor versus outdoor staffing.
So services provided by council, is there a cap that you try to go to for the size of our shire? Like it's we don't base ourselves what our limit is, or is it just perceived?
Oh no, so I guess there is benchmarking out there for councils. So we're a rural council, so there's benchmarking. It's always very difficult to benchmarking because every council has a different structure, and you know what we might call outdoor, they might call indoor, etc. So there's always some anomalies, but yeah, absolutely, there's some benchmarking. I think we've actually provided some of that to council previously. We get the local government benchmarking every year, and certainly all of that information is available. So I'm more than happy to provide that.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you to the GM. While I was looking through the fees and charges, I just came across something I wanted to question because it seemed like a bit of an anomaly on page 8 of the fees and charges underneath copy of rate or water accounts. I'm just wondering why we would be charging for a request for a hard copy of an original rate or water notice $12. It's not that hard to hit print and print one out, and we're charging around $1 for a photocopy.
So through you, Mayor, obviously there's an administrative charge that comes with doing that as well. And I guess it's we very much are pushing people to e-notices. They all get a hard copy if they're not on e-notices of their rates notice at the start of each year anyway. So I guess it's probably to try and discourage. We don't want to be printing, I suppose, unless required. But there's an admin cost to doing that. It's not just $1 for a...
Well, I'm a little bit puzzled by that, GM, because I would imagine that there'd be an admin cost that would be similar for emailing a copy, and there's no charge for that. So surely it would take an admin person longer to type in someone's email address and hit send than what it would to do just to hit print.
Well, through me, Barry, I think those are all on the system, aren't they? Set up on the system.
Yes, and just proof to you, Mr. Mayor, it sounds like $12 is exorbitant, and it's not just a person that hits the button. Yes, it's a person, but it's the time that person takes, the time a person spent on it. Our IT system, it's quite costly to the council. Our IT department costs the council about $500,000 a year to run. So there's a fair bit of costs going in to produce that document. And we do deliver those notices regularly, either in hard copy, mail it, or as the general manager said, on e-notices that people can have it onto their system. Now, an email copy, you should have it because you sign up for it. So there's no reason for us to email it later because you must have it in your system because you
unless you hit delete, of course.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can delete it.
Yep.
Once it's there, it's there. So once you sign up, you just log into the portal basically online, and you can't lose it because if, for instance, if you hit the wrong button or you deregister or you replace your computer, you just register again and you access it to your computer.
No, I just find it interesting that we're hitting people up for $12. It just seems
Seems
bit
so.
savage, especially when the people that I would imagine that would be looking for a hard copy would be people that are primarily disadvantaged or elderly that aren't capable for whatever reason of doing the electronic versions.
All right,
Yes,
thank-
sir.
Food for
thanks,
thought.
councillor Smith. I think we've had a fair enough discussion on that one. That's okay. Let's move on. Councillor Howe.
Yeah, to the GM. Do you envisage a higher rate rise than 3.4%, or is it just going to be 3 point? You're not wanting an increase in revenue?
Through me, the director can speak to it, but that's our rate peg. And we don't get to determine that. That's
Yes, and
determined.
sorry, if you can get, yeah, we need, IPART set the rate back for the councils. Now, this rate back was basically set September last year. We do it very early in the year is to ensure that councils have enough time to do their budgeting and planning, etc. Since then, with all the issues and things going around the world and the interest rates that went up and CPI, with a budget that was delivered yesterday, the current CPI sits at 4.6%. It was mentioned that they envisage it's going up to 5%. And then there was a graph that they show in 12 months' time, it just dropped down to 2.5% and stabilized at that. So, and that's what the Reserve Bank said the target is between 2 and 3%. But looking at the current rate where it's sitting, CPI, if IPART stick to what happened last year, that they're going to release it. If they release again in September, I expect that they would set it around at about 5 to 7% where it's currently at. So yes, it's of course it has been set, so the council may go a bit backwards with what it is, but we'll catch up in the year thereafter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other quick questions?
Just more a comment. I'd like to say thank you to the GM and the staff. The Narromine Shire Youth Council has been running on a zero budget, which has been very tough. And now having an allocated budget would mean that the Youth Council will actually be able to impart some of the activities that the kids have asked to do. So thank you. It's been tough. So fingers crossed that'll make it a little bit healthier.
Councillor Bone. Okay, we might put this recommendation as a motion. All those in favour, raise their hands. Nobody against? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
You forgot to put your mayoral minute motion, your extra point. You should do that now. You forgot to put your mayoral minute motion.
Oh, I did too. Sorry.
Yes.
I just rewind to the mayoral minute. Sorry, everybody. I had my note here and forgot to bring it up. So I'm going to move a motion as from the chair. Just should have done the mayoral minute, yeah. Okay. The motion is that Council A advocates for the Australian government to reverse the cancellation of the Inland Rail project, preserve the corridor and approvals, and commit to a staged continuation north of Narromine. And B, that we delegate Councillor Davies to advocate on Council's behalf, given his level of prior knowledge in this matter. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that for you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Lambert, thank you. I'll speak to the motion. Obviously, Councillor Davies has been involved with the Inland Rail since its inception. Craig has all the experience, information, and stop speaking in the gallery, please, in his head, to represent council in Canberra with the ministers. Simple as that. I just think it's a sensible thing to do, and yeah, that's it for me for now. Thank you. Any
No,
speakers
make an
against? the
I make an
motion?
amendment for you. Can we say in conjunction with the mayor? I think it's important that the mayor's involved in those conversations.
Yeah, yep, yeah, that'd be okay. I believe, yes, happy to accept that. Have a seconder for that. Did I get a second in the first place?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Councillor Lambert. Are you happy with that, Councillor? Okay.
But I just wonder whether it's necessary to send two people, that's all.
Well, it's all about saving money too, I guess.
That was the way I was looking at it.
Okay. Well,
I'd much
Can we
prefer.
just Zoom? So nobody.
Well,
lets
I
down?
think, through you, Mayor, just to be clear, I mean, obviously the staff will be the ones that will need to action this. So I'm not sure that that's specifically talking about meetings or anything formal. It may just be an advocacy role, you know, from council. So absolutely the mayor may go if it's here, but he may not, I suppose.
Yeah.
I just think it's important being
As
that
long as
you're-
the mayor's aware of
you
what's
have
going on.
access to certain information that councillors don't, that I think it's prevalent that you represent
Fair
in
enough.
that advocacy role.
Okay, but the crux of the matter is that Councillor Davies has got the information and experience
lead.
about this stuff.
Yeah,
Not
takes
I,
the
but I
lead.
would, I'm happy to be
Yeah.
kept in the loop. Okay, speakers against. Speakers for.
I just think, Mr Mayor, that it's very important that we, as a council, and for our shire, that we let them know how disgusting and how disappointed we are for the decision they've made. You know, the corridor's been set, and in many places it's been bought, and the farmers have been compensated that way, and now they've got a corridor through their properties they can't use. And it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And I mean, the other point was too, part of the media was it stopped at parks. Well, I hate to tell them, it stopped at Narromine. Have a look at all the what do you call them, sleeper things that are out at Craigielee.
Around 1,000 of them.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Lambert. Any speakers against? Any others?
Yeah, I'll speak against it.
Yes, Councillor Howe.
Through you, Mr Mayor. That distribution centre out there at Narwana, where all the sleepers are, the public have no access to that until the railway line is complete. So really what they're saying is, yes, it is finished till Parks, but Narromine doesn't have a platform to receive anything. So they're actually right in saying that it is finished to Parks, because Narromine doesn't have access to that distribution centre until the whole railway line is complete. That's my understanding, and that's what's been told to councillors many times before.
You got to comment on that, Director Phil?
Are we not speaking to this motion?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
that has nothing to do
No.
with this motion?
Okay, speakers for. Any others? Sorry.
Speak for it. I think it's a team effort. Craig has got the knowledge, as you said. It was met for many years when Inland Rail come through. So I think you use Craig's knowledge, and I fully agree that you should be kept in the loop of any discussions. I think it's a great idea.
Agreed.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Any other speakers against? Okay, I'll have my right to reply. As Councillor Lambert already said, the media, and I've tried to correct them. I've done about 11 interviews in the last week. I've tried to emphasise Parks to Narromine is finished. It's actually Parks to Narwana, but it's finished technically. Narromine was never going to be a stop for the inland rail train, of course. It's going to sail through. We don't have an intermodal here. But yeah, I just think, once again, that Councillor Davies is the best person to advocate on council's behalf. So I will put the motion. All those in favour? Okay, we have Councillor Davies, Councillor Hoey, Councillor Leake, Councillor Bohm, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Lambert and myself. Against, Councillor Smith and Councillor Howe. The motion is carried. Thank you. I've got my papers back in order now. We'll go back to the General Manager's report. Item number 2, lease renewal. Part.
We haven't voted and motion passed on draft.
I think we
Yes,
did.
we have.
But we did.
Yep.
Okay. Item number 2, GM's report. Lease renewal lot. Part lot.
I'll move
one.
the recommendation, Mr Mayor.
Okay. Go on.
The council lease part lot 1 DP 430760 and part lot 7 DP 878899 for a further 5-year term at the commencing rate of $657 per annum, GST included, with an annual CPI increment to be applied therefore.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Davies, any discussion on this one? Okay, I'll put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes, councillor Howie?
Yes.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item number 3, lease agreements.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that council enters into a 3-year lease agreement for the lease of 1 briefing shed site number 7 at the Narromine Aerodrome at the commencing rental of $87.85 per month, including GST, with CPI increments applied annually thereafter. 2, hangar site number 17 at the Narromine Aerodrome at the commencement rental of $270.35 per month, including GST, with the CPI increments applied annually thereafter.
We have a
I'll
second.
second that.
Councillor Howie, any discussions on this one? Okay, put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. That's it for the general manager, I believe.
No, number 4. Number 4, item 4.
You move the recommendation on item number 4, Mr Mayor, that the council enter into a 3-year lease agreement for the lease of 1 hangar site number 13 at the Narromine Aerodrome at a commencement rental of $204.53 per month, including GST, with the CPI increments applied annually thereafter. And 2, hangar number 15 is at the Narromine Airport at a commencement rental of $1,647.55 per month, including GST, with the CPI increment applied annually thereafter.
Thank you, councillor Lambert. Have a seconder.
Yeah.
Councillor Davies, any discussion on this one?
I think, Mr Mayor, these are very important that we keep those tenants on, and of course, as they know, with price increases, they're expecting those sorts of things.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Sean? I'll put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, General Manager. We'll move now to Finance and Corporate Strategy Report. Director Barry. Thank you, Barry.
I'll move item 1, Mr Mayor. 1, that the report regarding council's investment portfolio be received and noted. Number 2, that the certification of the Responsible Accounting Office be noted and the report adopted.
Thank you. A seconder for that one. Councillor Bowen. Any discussion on this one?
Yes, Mr Mayor to Barry. The finance top-up I see here, this is due to a transfer of excessive funds from the cheque account to investments. What's that all about?
You, Mr Mayor, what we have, we set up the account in our system is when we have funds coming in, so we got the payments for the rates coming in, or grant funding that we have that we receive that we don't need immediately. So we have basically our daily operating account, but council earn no interest on that account. So we link that account to the investment accounts. So we will then transfer any money, excess funds that we have in the check account to the investments account to earn at a high interest rate. And when we need it to pay wages or to pay suppliers for whatever, then we transfer it back to the check account.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to Director Barry. Any other comments or questions of our Director? Okay, we'll put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2 for our Director's financial report as at 30th of April 2026.
Use the recommendation to a motion that the financial report as at the 30th of April 2026 be received and noted.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Howie. Any discussions on this one? Being no discussion, I'll put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 from our Director is quarterly budget review statement. as of 31 of March 2026.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr Mayor, that one, that the report regarding the budget review for the period January to March 2026 quarter be noted. And two, that the variations of income, operating expenditure, capital expenditure, and reserves as identified in the report, and that the quarterly budget review statement for the 31st of March 2026 be approved and voted.
Thank you. We have a seconder for that. Councillor Davies, any discussion on this one, please?
I have a question through you, Mr Mayor, to the GM. The rates legal costs recovery. So we had a budget of $1,000 and it was $113,000. That's a big jump. Did we receive enough rates in from that recovery to cover that cost?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor, and the director will chime in if I've got this. That relates to, we had quite a number of sale of land for unpaid rates.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So it was enough to cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Just sorry for we have increased that cost, legal cost to the council was fully recovered from those sales.
Perfect.
So we increased both sides per expense in the income.
Amazing, thank you.
Good. It's very good.
So through you, Mayor, just see if you have a look on the other side, debt collection services commission costs.
113. Yep.
Do you any other questions? Yes, Councillor Smith.
Just number 2, plant operation and maintenance on page 5. Big jump, we added another 208,000. Was that foreseeable or something happened or?
So through you, Mayor, partly due to the increase in fuel.
Yeah, okay.
And partly also some repairs, I guess, unexpected repairs that needed to be done.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question probably overlaps Councillor Bones slightly. So through you to the Director of Finance, on page 7, your report, and I'll just read the sentence out for the benefit of the gallery. It states, the net operating result deficit before grants and contributions provided for capital purposes has increased with $896,742 to $2,657,916. Just wondering, that's a fairly concerning jump. Is that likely to continue or is that likely to be curbed?
For you, Mr Mayor, no, it's the budget and the long-term plan has basically been set at the current levels of expenditure of the council, so it's realistic. So we don't foresee that the trend will continue on. But yeah, we have to monitor the budget like under legislation annually to make those adjustments where we become aware that we won't generate the revenue that we forecasted, or if we're going to need to spend more money than what we have. But yeah, we have to monitor it.
So you're not concerned about it at this point in time?
In this specifically, no, Council, I'm not really considered it really concerned. I don't think there's really a reason for the council to be alarmed about it, because although we have increased it, the cash flow of the position of the council is still stable. It slightly increased the cash in the bank. So there's no risk to the council that we won't be in a position to fund operations. We're still on solid ground in the remaining in a good financial position, despite that we have to increase this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councillor Howard?
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Barry. The water supply charges, does that include water charges to council for parks and gardens? Or should there be a separate column there for parks and gardens so council pays back the water fund?
No, the water supply charges is just one line item. So everything go into that line. And it's been, if it's a council, basically the council pay the parks and gardens water, it will go against the parks and garden budget.
So what percentage of that bill or that would be council's
portion of that?
Portion of it.
Oh, it will be. I don't have a figure with me, but it's minimal. It's a very small portion of the majority is from the residents and the users that we.
So is it, through you, Mr Mayor, is it possible to have the water supply charges separate from how much the council are paying for their water charges?
So through you, Mayor, to be clear, I'm not sure why, because council are charged in accordance with the fees and charges based on usage.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the General Manager. However, that money has to go to the water fund.
Correct, and it does.
So if we know how much water the council's using, then the ratepayers know how much it's costing to water the parks and gardens and the ovals around the area, and how much the council's using in water.
Gee, Mr Mayor, wouldn't that come out in the costing figures here anyway? It'll be a
So
part
through
of
you,
the
Mayor, that's included in the Parks and Gardens operating expenses budget.
I thought, yeah.
It's that monthly finance report where we've got the different departments here. Under engineering, there's a water line item that says water and the expense account against it. But it doesn't break everything down to
Which parks and whatever gets to
to a specific level. This report is just basically on a high level view for the council to view its financial performance and its financial position.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions of Director Barrett? So move the recommendation in the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Director Barrett. Now move on to community and economic development. Thank you, Director Phil. First one being development application.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
Second for that. Second, Councillor Hoey. Okay, all those in favour?
Expensive in-ground swimming pool.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Road naming, item number 2.
I'll move the recommendation. It is recommended that in accordance with the roads regulation, the following proposed road names be placed on public consultation for a period of 28 days seeking submissions, with a further report to council prepared following the exhibition period, names listed below.
Thank you, Councillor Bohm.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Lambert, any discussions on that one?
I'd just like to say congratulations to the staff in coming up with all the names that could fit into each of those developments.
Sure.
It's a great idea.
I agree. Okay, we'll put the recommendation into motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, then we made it to Jane is now departing the chambers. So we'll just pause for a moment. Okay, so
Item number 3, Mr Mayor, I'll
Yes.
move the recommendation. The council place the draft section 7.11 contribution plans for 2026.
One, two.
One first. Sorry, I went ahead.
Start again.
Scrolling too fast.
Yes.
Page.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yes.
Yep. Righto. Recommendation 1, the council place the draft section 711 contributions plan 2026 heavy vehicles on public exhibition for a minimum period of 28 days. 2, the council adopt the draft section 711 contributions plan 2026 heavy vehicles under the delegation of the mayor, subject to there being no objections that cannot be resolved by minor amendments to the plan. And number 3, that public notice of adoption of the plan be made in the local newspaper.
Second that.
Have a second of that. I know what you're going to say. Second of Davies. Would you like?
No, I've got a question first.
Okay.
As the mover. I'm just wondering, and the part 3 of it is, what do we class as a local newspaper? Because we don't have an actual local newspaper at the moment.
Yes, that's correct.
You do have a section in the photo news.
Yeah.
So can we add social media on that as well?
Yeah, that's a thought. Good thinking. Yeah. So after the local newspaper and on social media. If that's okay, sir?
We'll just let So I'll catch up there.
Beautiful.
You want to just cross out the word local in a newspaper? Or
Well, it's still
Oh, no,
local.
the-
It still
the
has a Narromine section.
Photo News and the Daily Liberal were classed as our locals, I suppose, in that sense. Yeah, no, I'm happy with that.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just wondering if we're going to look at putting something in Tomingley and Trangie as well, a hard copy somewhere, like at the servo in Tomingley.
Just on that, Councillor Smith, don't we put them out into one of the service stations out at Tomingley and the library at Trangie so that people can see them?
Yeah.
I'm sure the staff will follow that through.
I would think so, yeah. Okay, do we have any other comments on this one?
Are we going to go into discussion or
Go ahead, sorry, Councillor Howe.
are we going into discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Or do you want to go for and against? We can do that. That's the way you want to go?
Well, that'll do.
All right, so we'll go speakers for and against. So you've had your right of reply more or less?
At the
Councillor?
moment, yep.
Okay, speakers against. Councillor Howe.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Phil. This seems to concentrate on extractive material. Is there any contribution given to council from renewable energy weights and cement coming from Dubbo? How do we, you're taxing our shire when other shires are coming into our areas and not getting hit by this fees and charge?
Yep. Happy to address that, take that question. And thanks for that. That was when this first came up all those years ago, the council has spent quite a bit of time discussing issues such as that. Wasn't so much renewable energy back then, but similar. I guess the way it's designed is that if the renewable energy company, for example, took material from a quarry that is subject to a 711 fee, then that's where they would pay that contribution. So if they bring concrete from Dubbo, for example, we have no mechanism via planning approvals to levy anything for any material that's brought outside of our shire. The way we do it with large projects, for example, renewable energy, they are subject to road upgrades to start with. So we have that discussion. They're also subject to doing dilapidation studies or a condition study initially on the road that they're using. And then generally speaking, at the end of it, a dilapidation study to make sure the road's brought back to at least the condition they started. So for renewable energy projects, it's slightly different. This one's specific to extractive industry because the other difficulty with this 711 allowance, I guess, from the state government is that it only applies, we can only apply it to DAs for which the council approve. So if it's a state significant project, we can't apply a 711 fee directly to that approval.
But as you stated though,
we apply it to the quarry that is selling the material to the.
And the other thing is too, in some cases or in most cases, if they're using our roads, like council roads, there may be a condition that they actually have to improve that road to the standard that they don't need to, ruin it in some way.
Yeah, so there's a few, as I say, and be clear, and this will probably come up in the Wallaby Creek discussion. We, through the Department of Planning, we will have our comments back to them about what needs to be upgraded initially for Tantytha Road and other intersections. Transport for New South Wales will have their input as well. Yep. So the three of us will do that. Then they'll have to do a condition report for anything that's not upgraded. And most large projects I've seen have a responsibility on the developer to bring it back to that same standard at least. So we're not talking about the 711, but I understand that the question is about their fair share. And so that's how it's levied.
Okay, thank you.
So just
Can we just go speakers for, you can come back if you want to, councillor Howes, I don't care. Oh, you can go now, go now, you're right. you can
Just,
go now.
just one last thing, Ewan.
Speaking for or against.
Just a discussion. The Narromine Shire to you, Mel, we have got that new technology. You can go along and AI assess our roads. So if we do use that to these roads that are being used by whatever business coming in or renewables, at least we have got a footing to prove the condition of the road prior and after.
For sure. I would also comment that it's for projects that happen in our area, they almost always, we require them to do a dilapidation assessment. So they would have to thoroughly assess, and then they would provide us with a report at the end as well to make sure that that exact reason that the road is not deteriorating from their use.
So who's doing the initial report?
We would expect the contractor to, or not the contractor, the project team, the
Self-assessing.
Yes, but they would share it with us and say, this is our dilapidation report. And we would review that and say, yep, we're happy with that initial report. And then they would do it again. And we can always argue and say, no, that road is in good condition. And so they would do the dilapidation report. We would have our own, but they would have it as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah.
Councillor Howe.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Phil. You understand there is a fuel levy tax on every litre of fuel, and that goes into road funding. There is also registration, which is pretty exorbitant. So,
No, I interrupt, Mr Mayor. That's got nothing to do with us. We don't collect fuel tax and we don't collect the other.
no, but you can gather it from the state government or the Commonwealth government for these renewable projects. And so why aren't you collecting more tax from them instead of putting the burden on the ratepayers around here? You're only going for solid material. What about the water that they're going to have to cart for a start? You've got Borrow that they'll have to build the road up before they make the infrastructure. You're missing a lot of stuff here.
All right, I might leave it at that, councillor Howe. You've made your point. You want to make any comment on that?
I guess to finish that a little bit, we're very limited with how we can enact this 7-Eleven policy. Most of those things you mentioned, well, for a start, we're not the approval authority for those large projects. So we can insist on certain elements through the voluntary planning agreement, and that's our avenue to do that specifically. But it's targeted to the source of the material to pay for what's leaving the gate. And that's also our way, because quite a lot of these quarries are servicing projects into Dubbo. And so that's our way of those Dubbo projects even contributing to the road network that's being used. It's not perfect, but it's what's available to us.
It is voluntary.
The voluntary planning agreement, that's a...
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other quick speakers for? Any other against? Councillor
I'd
Smith.
just like to make a comment based on what Councillor Howes brought up. The fact that a lot of the contributions are coming from extraction means that that's our local gravel pits, our local residents that are paying this. Now, in our objectives, in our plans, we have an objective about wanting our local businesses to thrive, as well as encouraging new businesses. Now, to me, that seems to be at odds with weighting against our local gravel suppliers, so they're not on a level playing field with others. How you fix it, I don't know, but it does not seem fair.
Like a right reply.
I would have thought, on Councillor Smith's point, the gravel pit owners would be getting paid for the gravel extracted. And therefore, whatever's gone into their projects in Dubbo or Narromine or Parks or wherever, they are getting paid to have that gravel done. So I think it's a win for our businesses because they class that as a business. It's like me or you cooking cakes and selling them down the street.
But you, through you,
I'm sorry, but that's...
No, I think we've had enough discussion on this. I think we've been pretty
Can I
fair.
just
No,
reply?
that's enough. Okay. I'm going to put the recommendation into a motion. All those in favour, raise your hand. Okay, we've got councillor Davies, councillor Hoey, councillor Leake, councillor Bone, councillor Roberts, councillor Lambert and myself against. Councillor Howe and councillor Smith. The motion is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 4. I think she'll stay up for this one too, doesn't she? Does she? No. Okay, we're just going to go and grab the general manager.
Item number 4 is the council place the draft section of 7.4. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but isn't that all works to do with travel? Not.
It's a non-similar one, yeah. We've just done that one.
Oh, yeah.
This
Heavy
one,
vehicle.
just putting it on public exhibition.
Okay, welcome back, General Manager Jane. So item 4, draft section 7.12 contributions plan 2026.
Move the recommendation, Mr Mayor, that 1, council place the draft section 7.12 contributions plan 2026 on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. 2, the council adopt the revised draft section 7.12 contribution plans 2026 under the delegation of the general manager, subject to being no objections, and that cannot be resolved by minor amendment to the plan. And 3, that public notice of adoption of the plan be made on a local newspaper and social media. We'll add the social media into the bottom of this one too, please. So.
I'll second that. Thank you, councillor Davies. Any discussion on this one? And can whoever that was, please put their phone on silent. Any discussion on this one? Put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
In favour, councillor Howe, or against? Sorry, against? Okay, so for the motion, raise your hands again, please. We have councillor Davies, councillor Hoey, councillor Leake, councillor Bone, councillor Roberts, councillor Lambert, councillor Smith and myself. Against is councillor Howe. The motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 5.
Move the recommendation to a motion that the lease amount for Hangar 15 for the period from June to November 2026 be 0.
I'll second that, Mr
Councillor
Mayor.
Lambert, have any discussion on this one?
I like to say that this isn't, they bring so much to our town and constantly don't ask for help in return. And I think Beryl has been such a huge draw card to our town by bringing the gliders here constantly. I think it's, given the current circumstances are outside their control, I think it's the least that council can do.
Indeed. Beryl's the ambassador for aviation in Australia. We've got the national gliding championships here. Couldn't agree more. We might just put that recommendation into a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6, update on the Fowler steam engine restoration.
Move the recommendation to a motion that the report be noted.
Second for that. Councillor Davies, any discussion on this one?
Just Mr Mayor, to make a comment, it looks fantastic to see what work they've already done.
True.
It'll be wonderful to get it back into our town when it's finished. And then we've got to do is house it.
Any other discussions on this one? I'll put the recommendation into a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7, planning proposal, rezone R5 large lot residential, 36 Jones Circuit, Narromine.
I move the recommendation, Mr Mayor, that the council proceed with the amendment to the Narromine Local Environmental Plan 2011 to finalisation, and that the council as a planning proposal authority proceed with and exercise the functions of the local planning making authority under sections 3.36 in brackets 2 of the Act, subject to the conditions of the gateway determination for the planning proposal rezone R5 large lot residential at 36 Jones Circuit, Narromine, PP, which is the parish's number, 2025-1786.
You have a seconder for that? Yep. Councillor Davies. Any discussion on this one?
Through you, Mr Mayor, through to Phil, can you give an update where you're up to with the with the Jones circuit, as far as planning?
Yeah, sure can. Happy to do that through the GM and the Mayor. So this is the final step in the rezoning process to take that southern portion from RU1 through to R5, and that R5 then matches that northern section which is already there. We'll on the back of this, if it's resolved, we'll go ahead and effectively change the LEP to reflect that zoning. Then the next step, which we've been working on, is a development application that then will eventually provide permission to use that lot as residential, and we'll outline how the lots are made up, the 20 odd lots that are made up there, roughly at 3.5 hectares from memory. And it pretty much mirrors the plan that was in the planning proposal. The DA also outlines the servicing, so how we get water to that subdivision and also sewer back to the depot road. We also have to consult with the gas Gemina with Essential Energy. We've started to do that. We have to put forward plans for the road upgrade. So pretty much everything to do with the future works will include in the development application. And then depending on the value of that, it'll for sure come back to council for approval. But it may yet go to the Western Planning Panel. It might be a threshold issue. It might have to go up the line to the planning panel yet. So we're working through it. We're hoping to submit a DA next month, I guess, in the next little while, and continue on with the planning. We haven't yet. Part of the exercise for the DA will actually to have the first assessment of cost, and then we'll start bringing that back to council with how we might do the work, how we'll fund the work, and start to set prices for lots and that kind of stuff.
Through you, Mr Mayor, how did you state on a media release you've actually got some grant money from the state government?
Yeah, it's also true through the GM and the Mayor. So at Christmas time, just before Christmas, we applied for some money to help us with planning costs for Jones Circuit, 5th Avenue behind us, and also the lot in Trangie, Nicholas Street, on the basis of bringing forward 140 residential lots, and that funding is spread across the planning we need to do for the 3 sites. So we're expecting at the end of that $201,000 we're awarded, matched with a contribution from council of $20,000. We expect to be able to bring all 3 lots to the completion of DA stage and detailed planning, detailed design, to bring investment decisions back to council to proceed. And I'm attempting to do that before the end of next financial year.
Oh, very good. Seeing the council got 3 projects going, are you trying to get those through at the same time, or just going to focus on Jones Circuit?
Through the GM again? They're all at different stages in the planning process. So Jones has almost finished the planning proposal. 5th Avenue is already zoned correctly, so they're a little bit in front. But there's a fair bit of stormwater and flooding planning that we have to do there. Nicholas Street is all the way to at the start of the rezoning process. But what I'm planning to try and look at is to bring 5th Avenue and Jones Circuit for development at the same time, to try and get some economies of scale into the construction cost. I think if we can bring those 2 projects together, if it works timing wise, we might have some savings from a contractor point of view. So we haven't really put too much thought internally into who's doing the roads or who's doing the what. We're just working through exactly what needs to be done before we price it properly.
So
yeah, but the council will be involved with each of the steps as updates, and we don't have any allocation for any construction yet.
Councillor Howard's first. Councillor.
Yeah. Once you rezone the land, if it goes ahead from RU1 to R5, obviously the rates will go up a lot more on that land because it'll be housing land. Is there any neighbouring properties that will be affected by an increase in rates from changing from RU1 to R5? Are there any adjacent properties that are going to be affected?
No, so through the GM, sorry, the GM's probably better to answer that because.
So through you, Mayor, absolutely not. This relates to this particular parcel of land. It doesn't relate to rezoning of neighbours' land at all.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you to the Director of Economic and Community Development. Just with James Circuit, with the planning, is that definitely all residential blocks, or is there some provision being put into the plan for a potential workers camp down the road?
Yeah, happy to answer that through the GM and the Mayor. The zoning, the appropriate zoning for a future temporary workers camp is or can be the same as residential as R5. So we're not precluding that from coming forward in the future.
I just need 2 or 3.
It obviously won't be inland rail in the short term, at least in our lifetimes, probably. But it's not precluded. But what I would say is that if any proposal to use it or to lease it for such use, it would have to come back to council to determine if council were prepared to lease it and at what fee. So it's not, the staff are not setting up as an automatic, this is what we're doing. And any provisioning, any servicing of those lots would have to be shown by the developer of the workers camp.
So at this point in time, you're setting it up as straight R5 blocks and we'll market them as such. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we might put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Against? Nobody. It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Would you like to have a quick break? Or do you want to keep sailing?
I'm just going
Would you like a little wee break?
super quick.
Okay, we'll pause for a 10-minute break for toilets and
Just
drink.
need to advise because we're live streaming.
Resume the meeting, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to the works report with our director, Mel. Item number 1, being works report.
I'll move the recommendation that the information be noted and say another thank you to the staff for their excellent report.
Thank you. Seconder for that motion, recommendation. Councillor Baum. Any discussion on that one? Councillor Howe?
Yeah, through Mr Mayor to Mel. I noticed that you've got into the water feature in Trangie and the Garland water hole.
That's the
That's
second.
item.
That's the second one, isn't
Next
it?
one.
My apologies.
It's all right, mate. No, Councillor Howe, no problem. Any other comments?
I have a question. I don't know who wants to answer it, so I'll just say through the Mr. Mayor. How's the curbside bulky waste collection going? Have many people picked it up? Because
Yeah,
we got a grant, yes?
correct. Yes, we got a grant from the EPA. It's taken off really well. Yeah, we've had a number of people come in and put their hand up and want to do it. So it's been going quite well. A little bit challenging for the staff, but we're getting the result, which was to clean up some of the yards, get rid of some of that rubbish that's lying around and hopefully reduce the illegal dumping.
Yeah.
So yeah, so far,
Thank
so
you.
It's excellent. Excellent to hear. Any other questions on this one? Discussions? Just once again, congratulate the staff on their great work. Thank you.
And also for Anzac Day, the staff were
Yes.
amazing,
Yeah.
road closures, the landscaping, everything. It was beautiful.
Hold on.
Thanks. I will pass that on.
Yes. Okay, we'll put the recommendation to a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously, thank you. Okay, item number 2 is the water feature, Trangie going water hot.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
Second, that Councillor Howe. Councillor Howe, any discussions on this one?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor to Mel. I got it right this time. Did you investigate solar aeration on the thing? Because there is a lot of solar aerators out on the market, which would reduce the cost significantly without bringing power across
We reached out to 2 suppliers and no, they didn't give us a solar option. They suggested that the option as supplied was the best thing. That was the best option. That's what they suggested. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on the
Just a quick comment. You've got operational constraints are 0.8 to 1 metre to operate effectively. I would guess that there's 300 mil in the going water hole at the moment, and that'll be gone in a matter of a couple of months if we don't get really significant rains.
any other comments?
Thank you, team. I know that wouldn't have been an easy job.
Oh, that's okay. We don't mind looking into stuff.
Okay, no other discussion? We'll put the recommendations in motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you, Director Milk. All righty, we're moving on to our notices of the motion. First one being, I'll turn the page. From Councillor Howe, would you like to move your notice of motion?
Yeah, on the Craigie Lee Industrial Subdivision, that the Narromine Shire Council confirm it will indemnify councillors from claims for damages or misrepresentation by purchasers of lots in the Craigie Lee Industrial Subdivision arising from misleading statements or images in the prospectus and any other promotional material or representations.
Can I have a second for that motion? As much, Councillor Smith. Okay, we're going to do this one for and against. Would you like to speak to your motion, please, Councillor Howe?
Provided I've got the right to reply.
You can come at the end as well. Yeah, you can go now and at the end.
This just protects the councillors from any legal action from potential and purchases that the flyer is misrepresenting the actual subdivision, and it just protects the councillors from that.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Speaks against.
Mr Mayor, I'll speak against because in the answer given by the General Manager, the line says that if the matter or thing was done in good faith for the purpose of executing this or any other act, we, like Department of any of the governments, are indemnified.
Speakers for the motion. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just following on from Councillor Lambert's comment, good faith. Legal jargon can be very tricky. And lots of ways of getting around things that would make me very nervous. I would quite happily support this motion of Councillor Howe's because it's giving every person in this room an increased level of security over the whole industrial precinct. And bearing in mind the recent Inland Rail debacle, I would think that everybody would want that extra coverage. Thank you.
Councillor Howe. Speakers against the motion.
Yeah, I'll speak against it. I think this is just a slur on the staff. I think it's terrible that something of this nature comes forward to our council. There is nothing that Councillor Howe has indicated, or nowhere that Councillor Howe has indicated that there is any level of misleading statements. If you've got evidence of that, fine, but it hasn't happened. Our councillors, our staff, are as honest a group of people as you could hope to have working for us. And quite frankly, I think this is a very underhanded motion to put before this council.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Davis.
That's a question. How would the staff do that? If it was to pass?
So through you, Mayor, I guess as in the notation there, councillors are already indemnified.
That's
So I guess what I'm saying is this is asking Narromine Shire Council to indemnify them. The Local Government Act indemnifies you. So I'm not sure we wouldn't do anything because it's already in place. That would be my comment.
Okay, speakers for the motion. Any other speakers against? I'll make a comment as well. We live in a world of AI these days, which is increasingly being used. At my place of work, there's AI note takers in interagency meetings, and whether we like it or not, it's coming. You're right to reply, Councillor Howe.
Okay, so the material presented to the purchasers had trains getting loaded. There's no access to the train lines. There's no land put aside in the subdivision for a train line. So this is a misrepresentation, and I feel that that motion really can, legal matters can still go to councils personally, and this motion really needs to get across to indemnify the councillors from claims from those damages and misrepresentation. And the prospectus clearly shows a train getting loaded at that site, and there's no access to that site, and we haven't got an inland rail coming. So it protects the councillors from getting personally sued, and that's why I put it in.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Howe.
You, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask Bill a question?
Certainly.
That fellow that Councillor Howe's talking about, is that just been to us, or have the sales agents, real agents been using the same photo? Because I haven't seen it, how they're advertising these blocks. That's what I'm saying.
Through the GM and the mayor, it was used somewhat, but not in every case. It was used in some documents and not others. It's representative. That's all I'd say.
Can we agree just now we know inland rail's not going together, we don't use that?
Well, through me, it was just an industrial photo.
Yeah, I understand that.
It was from memory an AI generated industrial photo.
Yeah.
So take the point.
Through you,
Move on.
Mr.
It's on
Mayor.
me. It's on me. Can we
Haven't
just?
I had my right of reply?
You've already had it.
Shouldn't we have a
You've
vote?
already had it,
Shouldn't
sorry.
we have a vote? So we shouldn't have any discussion
voting.
after that.
We're voting now. Okay, we're going to put your notice of motion up now. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Howe's notice of motion, raise their hand. We have Councillor Howe, Councillor Smith. Those against, raise their hand. Councillor Lambert, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Bohm, Councillor Leet, Councillor Hoey, Councillor Davies and myself. The notice of motion is lost.
And the bottom line being removed.
And the bottom line is you can't speak in the gallery. If you can't be quiet, you'll be asked to leave, Miss Jokes. Okay. First and last warning. Good night. Well, excuse me. If you can't do as you've been asked, you'll be escorted out of here. You understand? Yeah. Don't try me out tonight. Okay. The second notice of motion from Councillor Howe is air quality monitoring towers.
The Narromine Shire Council forward the same letter to Tony Chappell, Executive Officer of the EPA, which was passed in July 2025 meeting regarding air quality monitoring towers to be installed in Narromine, Trangie and Tomlingon, as there has been no reply.
Thank you. Have a second for that notice of motion, please. Councillor Smith, would you like to speak to your motion, please? Councillor Howe.
Yeah, I think this is imperative that we have this installed. Like, we've had no reply from the EPA, and it needs to go up the food chain. And I believe Tony Chappell is aware of problems around the Narromine Shire, and if he gets the letter, we might have something done.
Thank you. Any speakers against this motion?
Yeah, I'll speak against it. The reason that the EPA have not been willing to engage on this process is simply that they've had air monitoring equipment in the Shire for 3 years and found that there was no issue in terms of air quality. We've been down that path. I said it the last time this motion came forward, we will be lucky to get a response from them, and we didn't. I think that Councillor Howe needs to give some thought to the fact also that there is a video of spraying on his property in 44
Excuse me,
kilometres.
Come on.
Stopping in now, it's all good, thank you. Yeah, we won't go there, thank you, councillor Davies.
I'm just saying, do you want to have?
No, stop. That, no more, thank you, councillor Davies. Right. Okay, speakers for the motion, please. Notice of motion, councillor Smith.
I disagree with councillor Davies. I think that if we haven't had the decency of a reply from the EPA, we need to follow it up. Just, it's a government body. We pay rates, taxes. They should respond. And if they're not, we should go up, as councillor Howe said, the food chain and demand a response one way or the other. Doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. They need to acknowledge the letter and what action, if any, they're going to take. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers against the notice of motion? Any other speakers for?
Look, I agree. I think we haven't even got a response. It's not really going to hurt to be able to forward it up the chain to at least ask for a response. If the letter's already there, I think it's a quick and easy win.
Any other speakers against? Is it like a right of reply, councillor?
My right of reply is that just look around the caravan parks where the pepper trees are. Look around the golf course. There's a problem there and it needs to be addressed by the EPA, and with suitable monitoring towers, we can find what the problem is.
Thank you, councillor Howe. We will put councillor Howe's notice of motion up now. All those in favour, raise their hands. We have councillor Howe, councillor Smith, councillor Bohm, councillor Leake, councillor Hoey and myself. Against, councillor Davies, councillor Roberts, councillor Lambert. Your notice of motion is carried. Thank you. All right, we move on to notice of motions from councillor Smith. The first one being Narromine water testing results.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My motion is that all advice received re Narromine's water testing results from organisations such as the EPA, Department of Health and New South Wales Water be published in full on Council's website.
Have a seconder for that notice of motion.
Second.
Councillor Howe, would you like to speak to your motion first, please, councillor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to just start by reading out the notation from the General Manager for the benefit of the gallery. The notation reads, Narromine Shire Council uploads PFAS water testing results of its potable water supply. Council will be unable to upload information relating to private water test results. I'd like to start by thanking the GM for her comments. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually looking in this motion for the results of private bore testing. What I would like to see is any information, not just the actual data of the test results of the percentage of PFAS or PFOS or any other contaminants in our town water supply. I would like to see copies of letters from the EPA and other organisations with their advice saying, your water is really good, nothing to worry about, just for the benefit of assurance for all of our residents that Narromine water is completely safe.
Thank you.
So through you, Mayor. Yes, please, Director.
I just want to let you know that we don't get letters like that. We would only get letters in the event that our water wasn't okay. So just so that you're aware, we don't, the regulatory departments, the EPA, Health, they don't send us formal letters to say this is, you're doing a good job. I wish they did, but we don't get that. Obviously, if they sent us a letter that said you're not doing a good job, these are of concern, that would likely have to become public information and we would have to share it.
But only likely to become public knowledge.
Well, it would depend what it was, but I'm thinking of, for example, if we had to issue a boiled water alert, yes, that would have, like legislation, we would have to make it. So if there was, if there was something to the point where the water was unsafe and we got a letter from the Department of Health, we would have to make that public.
We'll get a direction from New South Wales Health.
Yeah.
So what other correspondence do you get from these organisations in regards to town water?
In terms of testing? Because
Yeah,
this relates to
just
testing.
the quality of the water in general.
It's published on the website.
So there's no correspondence like water's looking great, you're in the top 10% of the area. No.
We-
It's a table. It's a table
Yeah,
that's provided.
It's actually the other way around. We send an annual report to health and we say, this is what our water's doing at the moment. And health go, sometimes they don't reply, and health, or sometimes they reply and they say, okay, great, thanks. We don't get what you're saying. We get the bad letters when it's even the same with the testing. So if we send tests away and it's all good, we do get the test results, but they don't come through highlighted. If we send the tests away and then there's an issue, they come back saying, hey, there was this issue.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers against the motion? We're going to do fine against this one. Any speakers against the notice of motion? Any speakers for the notice of motion? Councillor Hayes.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Smith, are you happy with an amendment to that motion?
What's the amendment?
The amendment would be that minutes of any meetings with the Department of Health, EPA and New South Wales Water, or any government department, be sent to councillors, because we haven't seen any minutes of these meetings.
There are no meetings.
Don't have meetings.
We had a meeting in February with the state EPA and the Department of Health. So there is minutes of the meetings, or do you not take
So
minutes?
that I believe
So through you, Mayor, those meetings are not convened by council. We're invitees to those meetings. That meeting you refer to from memory was convened by the EPA and New South Wales Health. So we just attendees.
So can you request minutes of those meetings?
Yeah. Look, I guess if we said we're not going to come to your meeting unless you provide a minute taker and provide minutes, they probably say, well, that's okay, we just won't bother meeting.
So what I would comment on is that particular meeting that happened in February was a result of us detecting PFAS. And I have already communicated with the entire public, that, including councillors, that the EPA, as a result of that meeting, have done voluntary PFAS testing. That was the outcome of that meeting. So that's public knowledge. That's
just a question. How often do you test? Weekly?
Depends what
Monthly?
Yes,
Depends what you're testing
it
for.
depends what you're testing
Yeah,
for.
righto.
There's a
Yeah,
big
so that's
testing
fine.
regime.
Yeah, no.
So
The PFAS monthly.
PFAS is monthly,
Is that wrong
E.
number last
coli weekly, some are stuff daily, some stuff quarterly. Off we
And
go.
do cocaine like Florida, like
Okay, we're
that.
getting a little bit mixed up here.
That happens every couple of years.
Through you, Mr Mayor, can I ask Mel a question? With
Yes,
that
certainly.
water testing, I know you're testing individual bores, but are they commenting on your blended water from bore to bore?
When we do the PFAS testing,
Yes,
Narromine,
that's right. But so that's right, they're testing individual bores, they're actually blending bores.
they test individual bores and also our treated drinking water, which is obviously the blend.
That's right, yes.
Okay. All right.
Can I just, one more question?
Most certainly.
Can you request minutes from that meeting from those government departments? Because
No.
they would have minutes of that meeting.
No,
They wouldn't have minutes.
not of that meeting.
So that's not very transparent.
We
if you
don't
don't
speak
have
with
a
them about
meeting.
that, I think, councillor Howe.
Yeah.
All right. Any other speakers for the motion? Any other speakers against? Would you like a right to reply, councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. It's just, as the Director of Infrastructure and Engineering has said, not a lot of correspondence, but I just think it would be a very big help and reassurance to the community if there was anything that it was put up, and I'll stick with the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll put the notice of motion up now. All those in favour, raise their hand. Councillor Howe, councillor Smith. Against the motion is councillor Lambert, Roberts, Bohm, Leake, Hoey, Davies and myself, and notice the motion is lost. Okay, we're moving on to item number 4, and I will again remind, yes, the GM has to leave. I was going to remind you of that. And I'd just like to remind the gallery, if you can't contain your emotions, you'll be asked to leave, okay? All right, GM has left the building, the chambers. Would you like to move your notice of motion, please, Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This motion's on Wallaby Creek Wind Farm, and it states that Narromine Shire Council prepare a submission on the Wallaby Creek Wind Farm citing residents' concerns over the following: visual or aesthetic impact, particularly to nearby residents who are not paid hosts within the viewing zones; traffic impact and damage to local roads and infrastructure associated with the bringing the turbines into our shire, and concern over the possibility of another Marotheri Road. There's no waste management plan in the EIS. It is understood that waste will be dispersed between Narromine, Trangie, Dubbo and Wellington waste facilities. Potentially hazardous materials or chemicals being disposed of at Narromine or Trangie tips. Multiple changes to submission closing date. The impact transmission lines could have on health and fire risk. Concerns over batteries, particularly in relation to fire and insurance. Potential to import pests such as fire ants in packaging. Possible change in transmission lines route has created concern and uncertainty. This hasn't been included in the EIS. Why not? Impacts on aerodrome users such as gliders and the height of turbines inside the restricted area. Concerns over the amount of water to be used from dams and new bores, along with the effect it could have on existing bores in the area. Contamination such as microplastics, and the proponents' lack of care in preparing the documents, which included a New England map and the wrong proponent's name, doesn't instill confidence.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Do we have a seconder for that notice of motion? Councillor Bowen, we're going to go for and against here. Okay. Would you like to speak first?
Thank you very much. This motion has come about because of a significant number of people that have contacted me over the past 3 or so weeks with concerns, and I quite possibly haven't remembered all of them when I've done these dot points, but it's definitely a significant portion of the concerns that have been raised with me. So this motion's about getting the best possible outcome for residents, not only now, but into the future. The wind farm's going to have a life expectancy of 20 to 30 years. So it's imperative for everyone's sake that we get this right, and we need to address these concerns that our residents have now so that they're not living with these concerns unaddressed for the next 20 to 30 years.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Any speakers against?
Mr Mayor, I'll speak against it. I know I'll get booed and whatever else, but I don't care. My biggest concern is that the proponents of this document or this proposal was back in 2022. And I think the first meeting they made a presentation to council, and then there was also a public meeting out at Temingli, because at that stage it tended to be closer towards Temingli. And in their community and stakeholder engagement plan, pages 72, 73, 74 and 75, said they had to make submissions dealing with the Siding Springs Observatory at the Warrumbungles, the Narromine Aerodrome, and there's a whole list of engagement methods that they have done to the Narromine Aerodrome, including websites, events, newsletters, GIS maps, visualisation, frequent asked questions, phone calls, and community information sessions, community pop-up events. And it seems strange that we are now in 2026, 4 years down the track, that all these worries, concerns, I must say, and I thank one of the members that spoke today, that spoke to me on Monday night about the aerodrome and the flight path for the gliders and the planes. And it's interesting that up until now, nothing's been said. And I'm sure Castle would have been in the discussion somewhere along the line to deal with the industry. I mean, I personally don't want anything going anywhere that's going to cause our income through the gliders and the planes to impact on our airport. But the question, I think, and I'm thanking the young lady tonight for bringing it to my attention, is there only one directional flight path to and from the airport? Because our runways actually have flight paths all over the place.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lambert. Speakers for the motion. Councillor Howe.
As Councillor Lambert said, they have moved their wind turbines towards Narrabeen more. And we actually owned a property out on the Tantitha Road, and there was a fire in the hills just after the Pilliga fire that they'd had, which was enormous in Pilliga. And to the Rural Fire Service, they jumped on it quickly, and they jumped on it with helicopters, and as much as they could. They were in the area and they put out that fire within about 3 days. Now, if you restrict helicopters activity there for fighting fires, you're going to have a hell of a problem, because Dubbo's just down the road and that's the way it was heading. And you can't put a fire out with just simply fire breaks. You need aerial control of rough bushland with water bombing. And that put out that fire within 3 days. If you restrict the emergency services and the rural bushfire, you're not going to put those fires out, and they're just going to keep going. So I know there's a proximity they can be to those blades, but if there's one around and the fire's under it, well, look out. You're not going to stop that fire.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Any speakers against?
Yeah, I'll speak against it, Mr Mayor. As we speak, Council is preparing our own submission in regards to the Wallaby Creek Farm. It will cover all those points that are mentioned there. So I think that this motion is absolutely superfluous. We are going to do that regardless. The next point I would like to suggest is that residents' submissions from the people who live out there carry far more weight than does a submission from council. If you've got real life experience from living in that area and you know what the conditions are out there, you will be listened to far more than a council acting on behalf of its citizens. The last point is that whilst we've heard that we know that the corridor out there is only a couple of k's, 3 k's away, the nearest tower is 12 kilometres away. It's quite a way out of town. Trying to change a state significant project of this nature at this point in time is basically an impossibility. The decision will never be ours. We will be putting in our submission regardless. So I don't believe that there's a lot more that we can do.
Thank you. Councillor Davies. Speakers for the motion.
Right.
Speakers for all.
Yeah. For gliding is a big part of Narrabeen history and hopefully our future. Has the Australian Gliding Association got out any standards of wind turbines and where they can fly? Because it's we're hearing things. I don't know quite sure whether it's factual or not. How much disturbance will have to the gliding industry around Narrabeen? But I think any inquiry or anything to investigate is a good thing.
Any other speakers against?
I just have a question through you, Mr Mayor, to Phil. Phil, the points that Councillor Smith has made here is that you are submitting similar questions to department with regard?
Yeah, yes, certainly through the mayor, and happy to include obviously any resolution that might be made tonight. But I guess just to give some comfort, I did go through our draft submission this afternoon just before the meeting to make sure I had it right, and we're sort of 80% there, I guess, but we're not quite finished it off. But the topics, for example, that we're including are not limited to, but waste management, including hazardous waste, roads, the precondition of roads, the dilapidation of roads, and the reporting, all of the aspects of emergency services, including those that have been raised tonight, aviation safety, the community benefits and that program, and how it rolls out, accommodation, water supply. We make comment about the dark sky region, which has to be observed as a result of the Warrumbungles telescopes, quarrying, biosecurity, including fire ants, and construction management. So we cover in quite a lot of detail most of these points from a with a focus on infrastructure, I guess, on our assets, but certainly all of those things are covered.
Would you be able, once you make that submission, would you be able to make that public?
Yeah, all submissions, unless specifically asked, are public submissions.
Thank you, councillor Barnes.
Just
Kind of
further-
for-
I was just going, sorry, Sue.
It's kind of for, but will that include speaking and liaising with the gliding, the flight school and the aerobatics that obviously bring millions of dollars to our community?
Yeah, yes, but there is no replacement for those that are expert in their own fields to take up that detail directly as well.
Understand that, but yourself.
So we have correspondence that some at the aerodrome have shared with us, and some of that is in our submission.
Yeah. So, but specifically given that we have a flight school and we have a Gliding Australia delegate who's here, will you specifically take their input on?
I can, but without giving too much away, I can also reassure you that not every pilot is against this wind farm.
Oh, 100% get it. But
So
there
I've
are
got
businesses
to
in our shire
Balancing that.
that are contributing to the
Happy
economic
to talk to
development of it.
Happy to talk.
And given that we're already doing it, I think it's just added on. Yeah.
And I'd also add, I guess, that if I can, Mayor, that Air Services Australia, I guess the authority that are being talked to about CASA requirements, for example. And so there's a high level of consultation on all matters aviation. I printed out their report earlier. There's 8 separate entities that they are consulting with, mostly not resolved.
Okay, any other quick questions or comments?
Question through you to Phil for the gallery's sake. What's the dark sky initiative?
Dark sky is protecting the observatories that are in the Warrumbungles from light pollution. So you're not supposed to have lights up into the sky, and most large developments, quarries, for example, if you're working at night, there's restrictions on where lights must face.
No, that's fine.
Thank you. Would you like a right reply, councillor?
I certainly would. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Okay, I'd like to start with the engagement methods comment Councillor Lambert raised. Just like to suggest that perhaps Acciona, for reasons known only to them, didn't really publicise as well as they could have their project, because most people that have spoken to me were unaware of any previous opportunities to lodge objections. Back in 2002, I was one of 2 people that decided we'd go along and meet Louise Johnson at the Hub and Spoke, and there was another lady already there, and I believe we were probably the only ones that knew about it.
22.
Sorry, 22. Sorry, thank you for the correction.
Because in
Yes.
2002, she was probably working for Inland Rail at that stage.
And of course, I would have only been a little chicken back then.
Yeah, you would
That's
have.
right.
You would have, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Lambert. So I think that the publication of engagement leaves quite a bit to be desired when you've got a lot of community people that aren't aware of what's going on until well after things are down the road. In regards to airlines not having any problems, I believe Qantas and Rex were the ones that were consulted by Acciona. And that's a rather interesting way to go about it, don't you think? Because do either of them operate out of Narromine Aerodrome? Not that I know of. So, of course, they're not going to be worried about wind turbines near Narromine because they don't operate here. So that negates that one. We heard today during the public forum from Miss Grace Walker, who is our only flying instructor here in Narromine. Dare I suggest that she knows a lot more about flight and the risks associated with wind turbines than any one of us sitting around this table at the moment. She went into quite a lot of graphic detail about the effects of the turbines on aircraft, especially during critical phases of flight, being takeoffs and landings. Now, we need to ensure that our aviation remains safe because otherwise it's not viable and the economy of our community will suffer accordingly. That's something we really need to consider. We had Mrs. Beryl Hartley here tonight, president of the Gliding Club. Okay. I know from talking to her previously that this will impact on the gliders as well. It's good to know that council is going to do a submission, but my question is, why don't councillors know that we're doing one? I certainly didn't know anything about it. I'd like to correct Councillor Davies' assertion that the nearest tower is 12 kilometres away from the airport. It's not. When Acciona came and spoke to the Aerodrome Users Committee earlier in the year, Ms. Hartley was very quick to point out that at least one of those towers is within the restricted airspace for Narromine. Acciona didn't know about it and they were asking her questions about the rules and regulations. They had no idea. Now, that to me is a pretty scary place to be when they're planning a major project and they haven't done their homework before they address Narromine Aerodrome Users Committee. I think that really plays right into my dot point in the motion about the lack of care. To me, it's like contempt for us. We're all peasants out here. We don't matter. We'll just plonk it out there. The hillbillies won't know any better. Point of order. It's my turn. And another thing we need to consider is the end of life. Where is it all going? All of this material. You think about the size of those wind turbines, and we're talking about 38, 39 of them, okay? They're talking about using Wellington, Dubbo, Narromine and Trangie waste facilities. Well, I don't think they're going to be too interested in carting all of that stuff to either Dubbo or Wellington because of the cost involved. And if they did decide to cart some to Trangie, well, that's a bit redundant, isn't it? Because Trangie is a waste transfer station, so they're going to cart it all back here to Narromine. So that leads to the next question. If all of that stuff in 20 odd years' time is going to go into our tip, are we making plans now for another tip? Because the one we've got certainly won't suffice.
Excuse me, Councillor Smith, you have a 5-minute limit and you've reached it. Sorry.
Really? Didn't think I'd talk that long.
18:30 o'clock and
I'll just sum up. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, by saying I hope people vote according to the community. Thank you.
Councillor Smith. Just quickly on the distance of the first turbine, do you have a factual map of that, please, Director?
No.
No, okay.
I'm happy to provide it or ask Acciona to provide it.
Yep.
Because I'm not certain that the meeting that the Aerodrome Committee had was with the Burraway solar farm, Burraway wind farm.
No, just
Acciona.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
All
was
righty.
within 10 Ks.
We'll now put the notice of motion. All those in favour of the notice of motion, raise your hand. So we have Councillor Howe, Councillor Smith, Councillor Bohm, Councillor Leake, Councillor Hoey. Against is Councillor Davies, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Lambert and myself. Your notice of motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I just make a quick comment to the Director of Economic and Community Development, please? I'd just like to thank him for the effort that he's obviously put into starting a submission already. Thank you very much.
Councillor Smith. Questions with notice have already been answered in the business paper. Any urgent matters tonight?
Yes, I have an urgent matter.
Go for it. Can we just
Okay.
bring the GM back in, or is there something about that she's excluded from?
Oh, well, who
No.
knows what she's
Well, you don't
excluded
have a
from.
topic. Is it about gravel pits? Is it-
Yeah, it's about Craigie Lee Industrial Precinct.
Okay, all right. We'll allow the GM to re-enter the room before you move that one, please, councillor.
Are you gonna put it past the GM to see what she thinks?
So walk out if she's concerned, I'd say, councillor Lee.
She's been involved in all other Craigie Lee
Okay.
information, so.
Can we hear what it is to determine whether it's urgent business?
Yeah, we'll wait
Yeah,
for
no,
Jane to come in.
It is urgent business.
Wait for Jane to come in.
Oh, that's-
Councillor
Yeah.
Davies. Come back, General Manager Jane. We have an urgent matter from Councillor Howe. Haven't heard it yet, so if you think you need to leave, we'll leave, I guess.
I'd like to move a motion that the Narromine Shire Council temporarily pause the Craigie Lee Lane Industrial Precinct until council is able to assert that the financial impacts and the liabilities of the cancellation of the inland rail on the project.
It's an urgent business. Jim,
It's for the council.
second
to determine,
for that one.
I'll second.
Okay.
Why, it has to determine why it's urgent. Why it can't wait until the next council meeting.
Yeah, can it not wait till the next council meeting there?
No,
Councillor Howe? Okay,
So
But the answer, he has to answer why it can't wait.
why can't it wait till the next month?
well, at the moment, we're engaging in subcontractors to develop the country out there into an industrial precinct.
I believe the contract's already signed.
Yeah, but that precinct was based on inland rail coming through and the project being happening. So we've had information through the week that the inland rail has been cancelled until the foreseeable future. And nobody can tell us when it's going to be started back up. So this subdivision will be a burden to ratepayers and public money be spent on this industry, this industrial area, when we've got industrial area in Narromine that can be developed and not 11 or 12 k's out of town. That is the reason why I'm putting it up, because that information has been brought to council and Inland Rail has said it's not continuing past Narromine.
Thank you. Have a seconder. You've already spoken to your motion, I believe.
I've seconded it.
Yep, councillor Smith. You've already spoken to your motion.
No, I haven't spoken to it.
Shrima, before we go on, so we have to say why it's urgent, and then councillors need to vote it as urgent before we consider the matter.
Okay, we'll put a vote. Who thinks this matter is urgent?
No, councillor Howe has to
Councillor Howe,
explain why it
sorry.
can't wait till the next council meeting.
Yeah,
You just
Yes,
did.
just
You just
do it.
did.
Oh, I just did.
He's just done that in a roundabout way. All right. Let's go for and against.
No,
No, we need
we
to
need
vote
to
if it's
determine,
emergency.
vote it as an
Okay,
urgent matter first.
all right. All those who agree this is urgent matter, raise their hand, say yes. So we have councillor Howe, councillor Smith, councillor Bohm, councillor Leake. Supporting, against is councillor Davies, Howie, Roberts, Lambert and myself. Your urgent matters motion is lost.
And we can have a report next month.
Confidential matters report, we don't have one. Conclusion of the meeting.
Well, excuse me, Mr Mayor, I've got one that I'd like to put forward for urgent business as well.
Go ahead, councillor.
Okay. I would like to put forward the motion that the Narromine Shire Council write to current and potential purchasers of the Craigie Lee Lane development blocks, advising that there will be no inland rail connection in the foreseeable future.
Have a second for that. motion.
Also,
Councillor Howe,
Why is the matter
can you
urgent?
tell us why it's urgent, please, Councillor Smith?
I think with the inland rail debacle this week, we need to make sure that anyone looking at those blocks or anyone that has already stumped up some cash is well aware, as the Director of Community and Economic Development said just a minute ago, that the trains aren't coming in our lifetime probably. So that could well influence people on making a financial decision. And I think that it's imperative that we are seen to be on the front foot and being very honest about what the situation is. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll put that one up. Does everybody think that this is urgent business in support of that motion? Raise your hand. We have Councillor Howe, Councillor Smith, Councillor Bone, Councillor Leake. Against, Councillor Davies, Councillor Hoey, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Lambert, and myself. Your urgent matter is unsuccessful. Thank you. There's no any other urgent stuff tonight, anybody? Thank you. Confidential matters. Confidential matters report that we've got nil. Conclusion of the meeting. Thank you for your input tonight. I think we've had a very good meeting, and we'll be back next month. Thank you. There's more.